Hello, hello, hello. Incredible greetings. Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? Good evening, good evening, good evening. All right. Let me go ahead and get this shared out. My little one is already called about assistance with homework, his language arts homework. So I gotta do this real quick. So that's also going to give me motivation to not be here too long. I've done kind of the one-on-one. We have some new some folks who have found us who are new to us. So I want to kind of just go over Sublimation 101 for new subbers. This is going to be information that's going to be great for those who are brand new to this or maybe interested. If you're someone that's kind of already doing sublimation, some of this information you may know. You may want to stick around and just see if there's any little nuggets that you can take from this. But this is really going to be geared towards those who are new or who are interested in sublimation. Maybe you've heard about it, seen it, in the different craft groups that you're in, different creative groups that you're in. So we're just going to go ahead and break all of that down for you guys today in about 30, 45 minutes or so, okay? All right, so let me go ahead and get this all shared out. Let's go over here. All right, let's see. All right, we are shared out. I mean, we are public, should I say. And then let's go ahead and get our share on. All right. So, I mean, I know it technically in my Honesty Speaking group, I think most of the people over there know about sublimation, but we're still going to share it there just in case there's some information that you're not quite sure of. So we're going to share it there. All right. Just give me a moment to get this all shared out. And we're going to also hit live over here because I'm going to do all the sharing from the computer. So that way that one's going and we will be ready to go as soon as I get this all shared out. Alrighty. Come on. Alrighty, there we go. All right, all shared out. Oh, wait a minute. How did my phone get down to less than 5%? All right, we're plugged up now. All right, so let's come over here. Thank you for that. She says, I've never listened to one of your videos and didn't get some golden nuggets. Thank you for that. All right, so let's go ahead and get through this introduction. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Let's see. What is this? Alrighty. I don't know. I saw something on my phone. Give me 1 second, y'all, over here. I have no idea who that is and what they're referring to. All right, there we go. So let's get into this real quick. I forgot what I was looking at, but here's the intro. Hello, everyone. I am Shakia, the professor of HSINK365. We are the home of the honestly speaking brand of products we carry, and it's pronounced honestly speaking. It's a play on words. It honestly speaks for itself, the quality and efficiency of our products. We have sublimation paper that allows you to sublimate as low as 365 degrees, as fast as 30 seconds. Also, our sublimation ink comes in 140 milliliter bottles. Our black is just top tier. So definitely check that out on our website, shop.hsink365.com. We are also the home of Silaholics Anonymous. That is the platform where I have been teaching you guys how to use Silhouette Studio for the past 9 years. And then, of course, 365 Creative Academy, where we help you to unlock your creativity in a wide variety of trainings, such as our Sublimation seminar that we had last year. We have a new one that's going to come up sometime in the fall, winter time. But we do have a great promotion going on right now for those who want to get a lot of detailed information about sublimation. So I'm going to give you the basics of it in this training, in this live. But if you want to get down to the nitty gritty of sublimation and all of its glory, I encourage you guys to head over to our website and look into the sublimation seminar. All right. If you want to know the code for a very special discount, go ahead and put seminar in the comments, and we can, just kind of have that now so I can see if we have some people who will need that seminar. And I'm going to ask it again as we get towards the end. A lot of my live videos now, like I said, it's going to be a lot of the same information. So you may hear this. You're going to hear this Sublimation 101 several times a week, because there are so many people I'm finding that are, finding us, especially over on TikTok, who are finding us on YouTube and may not have the time to go all the way back through our 9 years of content to maybe find some of these answers. So I don't mind. And we're going to be doing a lot of informative type lives where I'm just going to come on. I'm going to talk about like Silhouette Studio. We did that yesterday, and how you can use it. Talk about Photoshop. Talk about sublimation. Even have discussions about like when you're using a regular printer and the things that you can do with that if you want to monetize it. Stuff like party favor stickers, labels, and all that kind of good jazz. But today we're going to talk about sublimation. What it is, how you can use it, how it can be beneficial to you on both a crafter or hobbyist level, as well as on a professional level, whether you are reselling items that you make with sublimation, or you're going to incorporate using sublimation for your business and create promotional items or create things that you need for your business. You don't have to sell it. That is one of the biggest misconceptions, is that once you get into something that is creative, something like printing or something like sublimation, that you instantly have to like sell that finished sublimation product to someone. But you can actually save yourself some money because we want to try and keep as much profits as we can. So if your business isn't like super busy, and you have some we always say like disposable income, if you have some disposable time in your day and with working your business, maybe your orders aren't, whatever service you're doing, whatever products you're making, maybe, you have those slow periods, you can incorporate sublimation to help your business create your own marketing materials, like on a smaller scale. And then once you get to a point and you kind of have a hang of it, you would then outsource it. So you don't have to resell it. You can use it on a professional level for yourself. Or if you are a creator, you can use sublimation to create gifts, or maybe just make your own items. If your family does a lot of trips and things like that, you can save your family some money by doing things like sublimation, whether it's a shirt or if it's a custom tumbler, because you can actually create things without having to have a lot of equipment like the tumblers. It is perfectly safe to use it in your oven. We're going to go over that as far as the basics of this. and you can create your own items. All right. So let's just go ahead and say hello to a few folk. As you guys come in, please at least say hi. Go into the comments. It takes 2 seconds. Hi. Hi, not hello. Or if you have it saved, you can hit the wave emoji. Give the video a thumbs up. Whoa, we're not double tapping the screen. Oh my gosh, we got to get more likes up over here. We got to double tap that screen over here on Facebook and YouTube. If you guys can just go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, hit the heart button. That really helps. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and hit that share button. If you run your own group and you don't mind, great information being shared in your group, go ahead, hit that share button, share it to your page, share with a friend, tag a friend. If you've met someone in these groups and y'all have become friends and buddies over on Facebook, make sure that you go ahead and at them and tag them, get them on this live. Maybe they keep asking you all the questions about sub because they want to know. They just keep asking you all the questions. Now is the time, like, look, all those questions you asked me, this the person you ask right here, because see, I don't teach it. So go ahead, tag that friend that wants to get into sublimation and thinks that you are their personal instructor, okay? So hello. Hey, just say, how are you once again? Jackie, how are you? Jennifer, Shavina, I think I'm saying right. Mac Lawrence, hello. Hi, Dawn, how art thou? All right, let's get into this. Like I said, I got to get to the little one. So let's get into this. Sublimation is a process where, like, at the end of the day, it's science. It's it's the only process where you're basically printing with a specialized ink that will turn into it will go into a gaseous state. When people say it turns into a gas, that kind of scares people. It freaks them out. They immediately think of toxic gas. They think about the gas in their car and things like that. And that's not really the case. It goes into a gaseous state, meaning it's not a solid, it's not a liquid. It's almost like it's vapors, okay? And that happens once it's heated up. And that gas needs to go somewhere. It will bind to substrates that are coated in a poly coating, polymers. So there are things that are made, from polymers, and then there's also synthetic fibers such as polyester, spandex, nylon, satin, microfibers, certain microfibers, things like that are synthetic fibers that the gases will basically bind to permanently. It's something that's a natural fiber, such as cotton and silk and things like that. It does not take that gas. It will not, it just won't take it. So you have to, this is going to be the first thing. You have to understand before you go out and buy any printer, before you go out and buy any ink, before you go out and get any paper, it is important to understand what you can actually sublimate to. If these are items that you don't want to pay for because they are a little bit more pricey than your standard items, like a cotton shirt, what you would pay for a cotton shirt, you're going to pay a couple bucks more for a polyester shirt. Polyester shirts tend to be on more of like the silkier, shinier side. There are some that are made to kind of sort of look and feel like cotton, but you really don't get the same results as far as the color payoff. And like, it's kind of like, almost like it's like, it puts like a gloss, like a sheen to it. You don't get that with some of the cotton-like ones. So first, understanding what you can sublimate to. Hard substrates that are coated for sublimation. They have a polymer coating, normally in the like the major factories. They spray it on there, they heat set it onto it, and then you would heat cure it, and then you're able to press your sublimation print to it. And then fibers. So it doesn't matter if it is a shirt, a hoodie, a skirt, a jacket, if it is a mouse pad, the fabric on here is covered. The can coolers, i.e. koozies, they have a fabric covering over it. What else is fabric? The keychains, the lanyards, wristlet, well, lanyards, wristlets. There's so many blanks. Just know that it has to have high polyester count. The higher, the better. I personally, for like really vibrant and when I really want those colors to just stand out and pop, I don't look for or don't really use any fabrics shirt wise or apparel wise, should I say, that is less than 89%. That is a personal preference. You can use fabrics that are a little bit lower in polyester count, but as you get lower in the polyester count, especially if that other blend is cotton, understand that the vibrancy will be affected the lower the number gets. I personally, 89% or higher is where my personal limit is. Now you can do 65% polyester in those type blends. They will be like, I mean, they're not too bad, but once you get down to like the 50s, it's like a vintage look. I have done ones that were like 30%. They were from Walmart. They only really had like 30% polyester. It will transfer, but it really is like a vintage look. It really looks washed out. 65, like I said, it can be pretty decent with 65. Yes, there are things that you can add to it, sprays. I don't necessarily talk about a lot of those things because I teach a lot of people who want to do this professionally and you want to make a business out of it. When you introduce sprays and things of that nature, you are increasing your liability because it's different where someone says, okay, this is made of polyester, like 65%, 50% polyester and cotton. That customer knows exactly what that makeup is. If you go and you put some sort of additive on it and they have an allergic reaction, they can say that I'm okay with this particular shirt. The label has everything, but once you add something to it, if they end up having a reaction, you're not going to know if that's from just maybe something within the shirt, how the shirt was made. You have added something onto it and now you can't tell. And now you're putting yourself in a higher liability bracket. So I personally don't spray anything on shirts. I don't teach about spraying anything on shirts. I definitely don't recommend using the polyacrylic and all those, mixing it with water. If you choose to do that, there are several videos that will show you how to do it. If you want to do that quote unquote hack, do the research on it, do that at your own risk. But on this platform, we do not teach that. We teach that if you want to do sublimation, you are saying you want to do sublimation and you are going to press to the things that can be sublimated. Okay. So yeah, polyester or synthetic fibers, poly-coated substrates. Normally with these, when the coating is put on it, it's in a more controlled environment for them to heat that up and for them to heat cure it. When you are putting makeshift ones on there, you have to be careful about like your PPE gear, like, personal, like your protection gear and wearing masks and stuff, because you don't know how that's going to affect like in your area and you heating that up. Even once it's like dry, some people just let it dry, but when they're making these substrates, it's not just okay letting it dry, they're heat curing it. So that's why sometimes your prints, once you press it, it looks okay, but then over time it starts to look kind of like crappy because you're not taking the proper steps. They don't just spray these and go and then just ship them out to you. You can always tell when they were not properly made, because if it came inside of a package that had like bubble wrap or plastic, it normally sticks to it. Or when you go to press it, although it will take the sublimation ink, it doesn't look as good. You'll have like little spotches. That's because that factory did not properly heat cure it. So that's something that's, for all substrates are not created equal. Different warehouses have different practices, different quality control. So it's important for you to, when you start out, you might have to, you're going to shop around. But once you really, really get into it, if you want to make a business out of doing different things, you want to go with companies that have quality. Don't just go off of the price, go off of quality, because I've had substrates that maybe press really, really good, but then within a couple of weeks, couple of months, that print is starting to fade off because it wasn't cured properly. So be very careful when it comes to the substrates that you choose. All right. Oh, we're going to talk about that. Don't worry about that. He's like, where'd you get the color chart? We're going to talk about that, because this is as soon as we get into printers and stuff like that, this is one of the first things I recommend that everyone does. So we're going to talk about where this comes from. Okay. So now that we know what we can press to, like I said, there's a long list. If you want to see just a bunch of different blanks, there are places that you can check into, like Johnson's Plastics Plus. If you use my code 9PKD6, 9PKD6, you'll get 15% off of your blanks from Johnson's Plastics. You can check them out. You can click the link and you can check out Heat Transfer Warehouse. They have a lot of blanks. You have other companies. You have Amazon. You have the Blank Spot. A lot of different places that sell blanks, and you'll get to see a wide variety of them. You'll be surprised that a lot of the things that, we see every day, people always say, oh, well, my customers don't want like the shiny shirts. If they're wearing jerseys, that's polyester. So when they're saying, oh, they don't like polyester shirts, my customers don't like polyester shirts. They want cotton shirts. They don't like the way they feel. If they're wearing jerseys, they're wearing polyester. A lot of the women that have like a lot of the summer type dresses, and like the ones that have like a little stretch to them, that design is fully sublimated. They will take a piece of fabric and they will sublimate the whole thing and do what's called cut and sew, and then sew it together. That is polyester. So you'll be surprised that the same customers that say, oh, I don't want a polyester shirt, I only want cotton shirts, and you're trying to find that cotton feel, they actually have quite a bit of items in their closets that are polyester. So just show them the benefits and show them the colors. Take really good pictures so they can see that, how, like the differences between those, like the fabrics, if you're using one that's like a cotton and one that's more like a real polyester. I'm not a big fan of like the super, super shiny ones, unless it's like sports related. But I like Sports Tech and Team 365, and they're not too shiny. I prefer 100% regular, semi-gloss, semi-shine polyester. The colors just pop on them. So what do you need to actually now create? You need a printer. There are several companies that sell printers that are made for sublimation, and then you can convert. If you are somebody that is just getting into this, you can convert a printer. Most commonly, they are Epson printers, because the cartridges, they make refillable cartridges for them. They're going to look something like this. This is a larger one for the 812s, but they also have smaller ones for different ones. They all have different chips. There's different numbers, so they're not interchangeable. You have to get the proper cartridges for the printer that you have. And then when it comes to the EcoTank printers, you just kind of pour and go. So Epson printers are most common for converting. There's a multitude of printers. I just did a video breaking down printers. I'm not going to go through that again. Go over to our YouTube channel, Honestly Speaking, and look at that video where I broke down all of the printers, the differences between the different EcoTanks and Workforces, and the price points, how it prints. Go check out that video, or you can get all of that information from our sublimation seminar. Right now on our website, shop.hsink, until like 30 minutes after the completion of this live, you can get the sublimation seminar. If you want that by itself, you can get that for 50% off, I believe. Yes, 50% off. It's automatic in your cart. But you can get it 75% off if you purchase 8.5 by 14 or 11 by 17 paper, and also include the sublimation seminar in your cart and use the code SUBLIFE. You must put that in. That one is not automatic. SUBLIFE. You can get the sublimation seminar. It's a 6-day seminar for 75% off. 8.5 by 14 fast dry or 11 by 17 fast dry paper only. Put in the code SUBLIFE. Make sure that you put the seminar in your cart as well, and it will be 75% off if you want to hear more about printers, heat presses, and all those different things, okay? But you're going to need a Epson printer. We do sell the ink for the converted ones. For the ones that are genuine, I recommend utilizing the ink It can be pricey for things like the Sawgrass, but you're going to get color accuracy. Do know that whenever you are converting a printer, yes, even eco tanks are converted. You are using inks that were not intended for use with that particular printer. Your colors are going to be affected. It's almost impossible to get 100% like complete color accuracy when you are converting a printer. I don't care what ink it is. I don't care how great they say it is, with a profile, without a profile, you are converting it. That ink, legally, they can never make this ink to where it's going to match how that printer is supposed to print out. So do know that you are going to have some differences in color. It's just a given. No way around it, okay? There are small format printers, large format printers. So once you get your printer and your ink, it must be sublimation ink. It can't be dye-based ink. It can't be pigment ink. It must be sublimation ink. That ink is made in a certain way to where once it's heated, it goes into that gas state and it binds to the polymers or polyester, okay? So you're going to get your ink and your paper. Can you technically use non-sub paper? Yes, you can. It will still transfer. Sublimation ink, once it's heated, it will transfer. In the sublimation seminar, you're going to see where I actually print to colored cardstock, and it still transfers. The quality is not quite the same. The crispness is not the same, but you can, in a pinch, or if you're just learning before you start to sell things, you just want to kind of get a feel of it, maybe not use up all of your good, honestly speaking, ink. Can you go and practice your techniques, practice your taping for tumblers and things like that with regular copy paper? Yes, you can. You will need to have butcher paper for it, but you can use regular copy paper. So I'm going to show you these two tumblers. One was done with copy paper. One was done with, honestly speaking, sublimation paper. So there is a very distinct difference in the, like, if you look at the yellows, you can really tell the difference in the color and then in the gray section. So if I go to this side, so you can see the sparkle and then the sparkle on this side. So we're looking at the color here. We can see how dark, I'm going to pull it up. Well, I should probably go this way. I'm going to, hold on. There we go. So this is the sublimation paper. This is the copy paper. There is a difference in color and how dark that part is. If I bring it up to you, you're going to see there's like little white specks from the regular paper that can end up on it, whereas this one does not have those white specks. So I'm going to bring this up for you guys to see as well. So this is the copy paper. This is the sublimation paper. You can tell the difference in the saturation of color. And then if I turn it around, you can see the difference in the yellows and the vibrancy and saturation of that yellow. Same thing here, okay? So if you look at that yellow, this is the sublimation paper. This is the copy paper. So you can see the difference in the yellow. So you can use paper. Sublimation is a process. It is going to, you can print to a brown paper bag if you want. It's going to transfer once it gets up, it's heated to the proper temperature. It will transfer. So actually I saw it at the bottom, but I'll show it here too. Just those white specks, copy paper, which you can see there, copy paper, sublimation paper. Honestly speaking, sublimation paper to be exact. Both were sublimated 350 degrees, 4 minutes in an oven, but there is a difference for it, okay? Yes, the sublimation paper one is definitely darker. So you're going to need sublimation paper, and then you're going to need a heat source. Whether that heat source is a heat press, if it is an easy press, whether it is a Vivora one, a Cricut one from Amazon, it doesn't matter. It's just a flat, no holes, no steam press. You're going to use that. You have vacuum presses. For hard substrates, you can use an oven, you can use an air fryer, you can use a convection oven, you can use a mug press, you can use a tumbler press. as long as there is heat, you are able to do the harder substrates. Pressure is needed because you have to make sure that the paper stays close to your substrate. So when it comes, if you are using a tumbler press or a mug press, when you close it, you get the pressure to keep it tight. And if you're using an oven of some sort or an air fryer, how you tape your substrate gives you the pressure. Or you can use things like shrink wraps, silicone wraps, whether it's the metal clamp ones or just the sleeves. So you can use those to create the pressure to keep your paper tight to your substrate, especially if it's an odd shape. But you're going to need a heat source. We don't recommend that you use anything. I just saw this in a group. This is actually what prompted this, was somebody was like, oh, I have one of those big steam irons. Steam, no good. Like, you don't want that. If you have any, like if it has steam, it normally has the holes because it requires heat. Wherever that heat touches the paper is where, you know, how it's going to transfer. If you have steam holes, even if they're really small, you're going to see that in your print because now that is not direct heat on the back of that paper to help transfer that ink and turn it into a gas and get on your fabric. So some people will say, oh, well, just turn off the steam and you will be able to use that steam iron. No, the holes is what is going to be the issue. Even if you put a cover on it, you take a chance of in those areas, it's not going to be even heat across your substrate. So we don't recommend a steam iron that has holes in it. It needs to be just a flat plate. Okay. It needs to be a flat plate. All right. So we went over the fact of like what you need to sublimate, what can be sublimated to, the printers that you're going to need. You're going to need actual sublimation ink, and you're going to need sublimation paper, or, you know, just really paper, but for the best results, sublimation paper, and you're going to need a heat source. All right. That's kind of everything just to kind of get into it. If you don't want to carry, like get all of that equipment, you can always purchase transfers. So a transfer just means it's ready to print. You have DTF transfers, white toner transfers, sublimation transfers, adhesive vinyl transfers, HTV transfers. It just means that it is ready to like press pretty much, or ready to use. So there are places that will sell sublimation transfers. They have pre-printed it out for you. All you need is the substrates and a heat source. Like I said, drinkware, hard substrates are great to get into because if you order transfers, you don't need any additional equipment other than what's in your kitchen, right? You have an oven in your kitchen. As long as you are not using like these polyacrylic and things like that, you're using actual heat tape. You're using the right type of shrink wrap. If you decide to use shrink wrap, it's not harmful. I don't care what anyone tells you. This is something I eat, sleep, and breathe. I would never put my customers at risk or my students in those. I am a responsible share of information, as Eric from the Blank Spot will say, and there is absolutely no harm. If there was harm in the sublimation process, as you go and you sublimate on an open bed press, you'll be at more risk just sublimating with an open bed or like a flatbed press than putting this in your oven. It does not go and stick to the walls and all that stuff, because again, if that was the case, you would be unalive from a regular press. There's nothing harmful about it as long as you're using the right things when you're putting it in an oven. Even if you had a separate oven, if it was harmful, the moment that you open that door, you would be hit with any harmful fumes or anything that is harmful. Simply putting it in a separate one doesn't take the risk away from you, because most people are not putting on a mask and things like that. If you are using things that they put off a lot of steam and things like that, you may want to wear some type of respirator, like some type of mask, because breathing in that steam all day long, if you're doing this all day, that can, affect your breathing, affect your lungs. So you want to protect yourself if you are exposed to it. It's not that the process is toxic, but just like with anything, if you're breathing in a lot of vapors, that can affect your respiratory system. So you want to protect yourself if you're pressing and you see a lot of steam, depending on the substrate that you are pressing to. But things like tumblers, normally you don't really have a lot of risk when it comes to doing things like tumblers and mugs and things, which is why people start with this. Okay, so that's all of that. Now, design with sublimation. If you can print it, you can sub it. It does not matter if it is a PNG, a JPEG, an SVG, a PDF, an Excel file, a Word document file. You can technically take a copy machine. Like if you have the printers that have the scanner, it has a copier on it, you can go and just get a picture of something, put it on there, print it out. If you want to sublimate your hands onto a shirt like this, and you want it to be your hands, and you want it to just be on the shirt like this, put your hands on there, let it scan, let it print out, and you're going to press it to the shirt just like this. If you can print it, you can sub it. There is no specific file type. Where the file types can, potentially be an issue is if you have a JPEG and it is a low quality JPEG, or maybe it's not quite like completely white and there is hints of color. If that color code is not the one for white, which is it's not all zeros, it's like FFF, something like that. Hold on, I'll tell you exactly what it is. I always forget. It is, FF, 6 Fs. If it's not that and it's a pure white, even if it's like a hint of gray, with sublimation, because it is going to show those colors up. White, pure white does not print because printers do not have white ink. Sublimation printers don't have white ink. There's no such thing as a white sublimation ink. So that's going to be a void of color. What's going to be in that white area is just your paper. When you put it onto your substrate, your shirt, your tumbler, your mug, your keychain, your photo blank, your photo panel, your award, your whatever, the white of that is what's going to give you the white, which is why when you press to things that are color, you don't see white. Wherever there was supposed to be white, you're going to see the color of the fabric, the garment, the substrate. Okay. If it has a tint of color to it, when you press, you're going to see that box. That is why most people will recommend having a PNG file, because if it's transparent, there's no chance of having an off white. If you have an SVG, as long as it doesn't have like a box behind it that's filled with white, if it's just the components of it and the rest of it around it is transparent, it's not going to print. So this is why you will probably see and hear in groups where they're going to say use PNG files, use SVG files, but they are not the best files. You can use any, preferably high resolution file for sublimation. Okay. The next thing is going to be just kind of like getting set up. There's a lot of videos out there. We have several videos about setting up your sublimation printers. If it is an EcoTank printer, it's a matter of filling with the ink, holding down that question mark for it to charge. If it's a cartridge-based printer, things that you should know if you have a cartridge-based printer. It requires air circulation on every single cartridge. Near the chip, I consider this to be the front. So for the sake of teaching, this is going to be the front. The side that's not the chip we're going to consider that to be the back. Near the front, there's going to be a hole. Whether it's here, if it's in the middle somewhere, whichever is closest to the front is your fill hole. Whatever is closest to the back is your vent plug. You will take out your hole. Sometimes they will come with 2 plugs. It's going to be 2 colored plugs like this. Sometimes it is 1 color plug and it'll have just tape across the back of it. Some of them will come with a color plug and a clear plug in the back, or vice versa. a clear plug in the front and a color plug in the back. No matter which combination you get, when it goes in your printer, you only want to have one plug, or if it came with tape, you want to take that tape off. But your front is always going to be your fill, whether it is squares or if it is circles, that is your vent area. You do not put ink into that. And when it goes in your printer, that needs to be open. That is how air flows. If that is closed, that's going to be the number one way that you get a clog. And you can do all the printhead cleanings you want. You can do all the purge files you want. It might work for a second because you're flooding your printhead, but eventually it's going to stop because there is no airflow. Cartridges do not work without airflow. Okay. There are going to be some cartridges, which I thought I had it up here because I normally have it. Oh, I do. It's right here. There are certain styles that have a center chamber to it. Okay. That center chamber must be filled with ink. We have plenty of videos on how to fill that with ink and how to basically prime your cartridges. So this is one that you can see that this is the chip side. The fill hole, it's way back here, but it technically is still the one that's closest to the chip. So this is the fill hole. This is the vent. When it's in the printer, this actually comes out. This clear plug comes out if that's in the back. That has to come out. It goes into the printer just like this, okay? Just like this, so that there can be airflow. If you have it like this, or if you have it like this, and that's open, it's still not the proper airflow because of the vent plugs that's there, that the air needs to flow through there. If you have it like this, you're going to have issues. It must be one plug. It can be like this. You can not use the colored one. I recommend it because it's a little tab, but it can be like this. However, nothing can be back here. And then you'll just have to this. See, now with this, when you do it like that, you have to use something to get that out. I normally use the little the syringe, the needle to kind of get it out, or you just have to use something to get it out. But when you use this one, it has a tab. So I recommend always using the one with the tab in your fill hole because it's going to be easier to take that in and out. You also have what's called a continuous ink system. It doesn't just keep going unless you have a chipless firmware. But the continuous ink system, you just don't have to fill a small reservoir like this. You would fill the tanks on the side. It can be great, if you don't want to just constantly refill, but those do backflow a lot and you can have clogs, and how you clear that up is a whole nother beast. All right, so cartridges, this is that. So someone says, question on the last cartridge, how do you reset the chips? You cannot reset the chips for the 812 cartridges. You must purchase replacement chips and you take them off like this. You get the new chip and you put it on, but you cannot reset these. The old style, you could reset. These, you cannot. Great question. Thank you for that question, Honesty. All right. So that's your cartridges. When you are first setting your printers up, this is going to be very, very important. When you're first setting it up, the first thing that you should print is not going to be something for like start just making tumblers and doing wraps. I highly recommend that you get a color chart. You want to see the output of the colors from your printer. You can tell how different the colors look from your monitor to what you see here. All monitors are not created equal. Some are better than others. We know this. Some TV screens, the way the color looks is better than others. They're not all the same. So you want to print it out. Don't really go off of the screen. You want to print it out. You want to press it. I have this on a tumbler. I have it on fabric. I know of someone who got like the dry erase one, put the laminate over it. They pressed it to that. There's someone else that had the metal photo frames. They pressed it, not photo frames, photo panels. They pressed it to that. You just want it on a hard metal substrate. I have it on my glitter cardstock because I do a lot of Sublimation 2 glitter cardstock. I thought I had like a little piece over here, but I sublimate my color charts to a bunch of different, whatever fabric, cardstock, hard substrates. I even had one that was the laminate one, and I did that one, but I have no idea where that is. Or you can use like felt sheets. I recommend felt, like that gives you little sheets that's like reference ones, especially if you're designing. You can look at that and choose the proper color code. So I highly recommend that. This should be the first thing that you do, whether it's to a tumbler or simply printing it out and pressing it to fabric. We have this on our website. Actually, I should have put it in the link in the bio, but we have the color chart on our website. So if you just go to our website, if you go up to essentials, it's probably like it's on the second line. It says printable color charts. You're going to get the individual. So there's like chart 1, 2, 3. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 reference ones. The reference ones, you can only use this in a software where you can use a dropper and actually sample the color. So you can't use the reference ones in Photoshop. I mean, not Photoshop. You can definitely use it in Photoshop. You can't use it in Cricut Design Space. You can't use it. I don't believe you can use it in, you actually might be able to use it in Canva. I think Canva does have like an eyedropper, but I know Cricut Design Space, because they don't have like an eyedropper, you cannot use this in there. You can use it in Silhouette Studio. It just has to be a software where there is a dropper to go in and sample the color in order to be able to use the reference chart. But all of the other ones, they have color codes to them. If you can't see them here, that's where you printing it on a larger substrate, or just simply looking at it on your computer. Like, you'll know the chart, figure out the line, and then you'll see the number. My color charts outside of Sublimation, I have one printed on DTF. I have one printed from my rolling printer. I have one printed from my outside. Like, I sent it as a print job to our printer for our large prints. Anything that I get printed on, I have this exact same color chart on, because you will see the difference in the color. There have been times where if I'm going to do something in Sublimation and maybe something in DTF, the Sublimation one may have been a certain color code, but the DTF one was slightly different so that they look the same. You want to use color charts. This should be the first thing that you do, whether it's for a tumbler, if it is for fabric, if it's for felt. This is going to be the first thing that you do. It's on our site, shop.hsink365.com. Actually, right now, I'm about to add it to the Linktree. So if you click the link in the bio in about 2 seconds or so, or after this, I'm going to add that color chart. It's going to be to the top of the, Linktree, okay? And you can go to the website and you can purchase this. All right. Let me see. Did I see another question over here? Oh, thanks for answering is what you said. All right. Cool beans. Okay. The next thing that you want to do once you have it all set up and you do your color charts is, I recommend doing, hold on, I forgot to bring it over here. I recommend doing strips of tips and times so that you understand how your heat press works, your oven works. So like with this one, you'll see like there's a yellow strip, there's a pink strip. So the bottom one said 375, 8 minutes. The one above that says 9 minutes, but I don't see the time on there. 375 as well, 9 minutes. And that's what, once I did that, when it came out perfect, I then subbed it. This is one that I use over and over and over and over and over and over again. It gets hot when you're using an oven, so you will let it cool. But I did strips, and this is how I found out what was the best temp when I was using first got into like tumblers and just testing it. So this right here, like 350, 5 minutes. Now it looks crazy now because every time I heated it up, the colors would come off. But I eventually found what color works. I recommend just having a tumbler, or even if you're going to have like a photo panel, you want to test your heat press to test the pressure, to know the temp and time, because it varies by paper. Some people, like when you buy substrates, they will recommend things, but your paper can change that. Our paper changes it. The temps and time that you will get from most vendors for their substrates, our temp and time is going to be a significantly less. So it is a combination of the substrate, but also knowing the paper that you are using, which is why for beginners, or if you want to go back, if you've been doing this for a while, you've had some frustrations, I promise you, if you do the things that I suggest that beginners do, it will ease a lot of your frustrations. Your color charts, I recommend getting some white felt as well as getting colored felt. It's cheaper that way. You can get felt, the felt sheets for like 25 cents, no more than 50 cents, depending on where you get it from. So when customers are asking you about color shirts, if you're wondering what colors will show up on a colored shirt, if you get colored felt and you press those color charts, is it going to be an investment? Yes, but it's worth it in the end to see how those colors show up on colored fabrics. So I recommend doing that. The color charts here. And I recommend that you do, like, if you're going to do tumblers, if you're going to do mugs, you want to know how long it's going to take in your heat press, in your mug press, in your oven. Do strips and test it that way before you go and do a whole tumbler and you're just frustrated. That is number one professor tip. Okay. And it was one more thing that I was supposed to go over. Maintenance. I knew it was something. These, I see a lot in the groups, and it's like, oh, well, my printer stopped. It's this, my colors are off, all these different things. The pinwheels, there is maintenance in this. It is not kind of a print, fill it with ink and print forever. There is going to be maintenance for these printers. Even if you have an EcoTank printer, if you have a Sawgrass printer, if you have a Workforce printer, you want to keep cleaning swabs. So you can go to Amazon, look for a printer cleaning swabs. They are not like your regular like Q-tips. They're like a soft one. You can use that to clean like on the inside and clean certain areas. You can use it to clean your rollers. You can get disinfectant wipes and put it in there to clean the rollers, or you can use an alcohol soaked ribbon to clean your rollers and keep it nice on the inside. You want to print if you're going to go like, if you feel like it's an extended time, you want to go and print. That's where purge files come in. Print that out at least once every 2 weeks so that, the ink and stuff keeps flowing, and clean your rollers and take care of your equipment. If you do a lot of print head cleanings, if you have a cartridge-based printer, you're going to want to take those out and clean in there, because every time you're doing print head cleans, you're doing a lot of them, you're going to flood the print head. And when you guys get those drips and stuff of ink, it's because it's probably a lot of ink sitting there and you've never actually cleaned it. There's a capping station there. You want to put some cleaning solution in that and let that drain out. All of these things can affect the performance of your printer and give you things like banding lines and drips of ink. Your printer drips because there is pools of ink somewhere, and that's normally comes from flooding your print heads from doing excessive amounts of print head cleanings. Okay. Does sublimation have an odor when pressing? Do you have to be in a well-ventilated room? Will the odor linger on clothes? Sublimation itself does not. So if you're just pressing it to just a regular polyester shirt, you should not have any smells unless you are scorching the substrate. That's an important one, but it's kind of in the seminar. Heat gun. I recommend that everyone who does sublimation, I thought I had one here, gets a heat gun. My heat gun was over here. I have no idea where it went. It was on my desk. Because when I got my Hotronics, I paid $2,000 for this Hotronics printer. Heat press. And it was 20 or 30 degrees off. So here I am. This is before we had Honestly Speaking paper. I set it to 400 degrees. I'm pressing. Everything is turning brown. Like, it's burning. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? Like, I didn't know what was going on. I finally did I don't know what it was. You should always test your heat press. But here I am thinking, it's not like a little cheapy one. I just paid $2,000 for this thing. There's no way that the heat will be off. Sure enough, 20 to 30 degrees off. So it was burning everything. Get a temp gun and temp check your heat sources. I don't care if it's a heat press, if it is an easy press. So that's the only time that you will really probably get a smell. The other thing that's going to cause things to smell is like what you're pressing to. Whenever I use craft paper as like a barrier, if I'm doing like a large all over print and want that to catch the ink because it's really, really big, that puts off a smell because of that type of paper. Certain NDFs will put off a smell because it's like you're heating up wood. Heating the metal, like the metal cards and things like that, not necessarily the tumblers, but like any of the soft metal, like pliable metal substrates, especially the business cards, the bookmarks, things like that. They can, over time, if you're doing too many of them, especially if you're doing 400 degrees for 60 seconds, can let off a smell, which is why our paper is absolutely amazing, because you're not heating it up that high and for a long period of time. At 365, at 350, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, you're not scorching it and you're not going to get that smell. Well ventilated doesn't mean that you have to have a window open. This is a pretty decent sized room. It's not like I'm kind of closed in. It's really open. We have an HVAC system. That is usually enough. If you're in like a really tight place, if you're in a basement where there are no windows, even if you have a good seal on your window, like just kind of having that there, it's still a little bit, there's air circulation. But if you're like in a basement, if you're in a tight space, you may want to wear some type of protective gear, because the steam from certain things can affect you, or if you're breathing that in, you're pressing 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, like that's what you're doing. You're going to want to protect yourself. But if you're kind of like, okay, I'm going to press some things, but then I also do other stuff, just having your heat press on, it doesn't affect you. But if you're constantly going to be pressing, and if you're using a paper, you're using an ink that lets off a lot of steam. We have a video at the height of the pandemic when my husband was doing some masks. We didn't have, we had our paper. We were trying to use up some other paper. And man, oh man, at that 400 degrees for 60 seconds, the way that paper, that paper held so much moisture, it was so much vapor and steam in the room. It didn't affect Even, but I sounded like a frog because I was breathing that in. So it affected me a little bit different. But when we were doing our sublimation paper, that was 365 for 30 seconds, we did not get all of that steam. Like, it got to a point, it was like, we cannot finish the rest of these masks with this paper. Like, we threw away a bunch of paper that we had just freaking purchased because we had our paper and we were waiting for it to come in, but we had like the sample packs and we ordered cases for ourselves to just kind of test and stuff like that. That paper sucked. I'm not saying it just because we sell paper. The proof is in the video. Like we did this live. He was back there pressing live. You can see the steam. And then the very next day, y'all know my lives don't go anywhere. I sounded like a freaking frog. And then my husband doesn't even do videos. Some of y'all have never really seen Even, don't really hear Even's voice. The fact that he got on the live and said, look, I'm new to this. I don't know nothing about this, but I'm telling y'all the paper that my wife has, you need it because it sucked being in here doing this. And he doesn't really do this. So the fact that he was willing to get on camera and say that, it was a big difference in the paper. But you don't have to be like in a room where you don't have to turn your HVAC on because you want to keep your window open. That part is not necessary to do. And yeah, there should not be any odor on the clothes unless, shirts and stuff, they sit in warehouses, sometimes rodents and things like that, they might pee on it. So sometimes when you get your shirt and it looks like nothing is on it, but then you press it and you see all of these stains and things on it, there was something probably got on it, and you're not going to see it in its natural state. But the minute you apply that heat to it, it makes it like 10 times worse. But just regular, good, clean substrates, you should not have an odor that lingers on it. Okay. I sub tumblers at 370, 75 seconds, spin it, then 370 for, so if you're using, those are temps and times for if you are doing a, if you're using a press. The joy of our paper is you can still do, like if you're using direct heat onto a tumbler, you can actually press it 365 for 30 seconds. So it's still very efficient when you're using our paper. 365, you can do 30, 40-second presses, rotate it and press it that way. But if you're using a tumbler press, yes, you may end up needing to do, some people like that where they're going to say like 75, it's like, 75 seconds. But if you're using an oven, like for us, we use our regular oven, I can fit anywhere from 10 to 15 tumblers in there. And I'm still going to sublimate them all in 4 to 5 minutes. So while you to do 15 tumblers at 75 seconds for 2 different presses, you'll do the math on that. But if you are using something like an oven, because you're doing like large orders and you're able to put them in an oven and get a bulk of them done in 5 minutes, it is more efficient that way. Okay. Oh, okay. We're at an hour. I got to go because I got to go help the little one with his homework. I said like 45 minutes, but I'm going to come on, and this is kind of the information to get. Some people are brand new to it. They don't see those videos. They don't know that they're there. Sometimes when they do a search, our videos don't come up. So if you end up seeing it again, you're going to see the title, Sublimation 101. I'm pretty much going to go over the same information. If you have a question, then feel free to go ahead and post your question. If there's something that you wanted to know that was not answered in this one, leave it as a comment, guys. I will go back. I will see the comments. We'll take note of it, and we'll try to make sure that we include that in the next time that we do the Sublimation 101 live video. Are you seeing my messages? No, I think I saw it in the beginning. Let's see. Thanks for the answer. Your name. No, I don't see any other comment from you other than that one. I see where is that your name that you like the video, but no, I don't see a message from you. Devon, I'm all the way up. Nope, I don't see anything. So go ahead, repost your question. Okay, so someone else says this is the first time I've seen it since I came in. Yeah, so I guess it filtered it out. So I'm not sure what you were asking, but try and reword it because it filtered it out. I do use a tumbler press, but I need to invest in an oven. You can invest in the oven. You can take my word for it or not. The oven that we cook in, as long as, so there are different, like when it kind of first blew, especially around the pandemic time, people were using the shrink wrap that you would use for like, that it's meant for stuff like this, even though it was like a sleeve and it was clear. Those were not meant for high temps, and it stunk like crazy for a lot of people, and they don't like that smell. But I just use heat tape. If you get the heat tape from our website, it's non-staining, non-marking. It does not have an odor. I use painter's tape. It does not have an odor. I did a tumbler for someone that came to pick up their crown. And while she was waiting, she waited while it was in there. And I asked her, I said, do you smell anything? She was like, no, it does not put off a smell. Our paper does not put off a smell. Our tape does not put off a smell. And the Dollar Tree tape that we, I recommend, the painter's tape, does not, there's no odor at all. Did I get my coffee? Actually, I didn't get any coffee today. Oh, you left a super chat. Thank you, Dawn. I didn't see that. Thank you. The comments kind of went up and I didn't see it. On a new live, can you help figure out how to make templates that I can reuse in Silhouette Studio? So we do have trainings on that. If you do the 30-day training, We have a day that goes over templates. I'm not sure what type of template you're wanting to create, because you're saying templates that you can reuse. Anything that you make, you can reuse. I'm not sure if you're just trying to change out a name, if you're trying to change out a picture. For those, sometimes Photoshop might be a little bit better. If you want to keep it in the same formatting, Photoshop might be better. But as far as like a template, just really depends. We have a template vault where I have measured out certain things, whether it's I scan it, I trace it in, if I have measured it and I've made them. So we do have a template vault that has a lot of different substrates in it, and it will already give you the shape. And we've done different ones on like using if you have a printer that has a scanner, you're going to scan it and then you're going to bring it into Silhouette Studio and trace it. Yeah, Raquel, if you're commenting again, it's not coming through, love. I don't see anything there. So I'm not sure if you want to try and jump on over on the YouTube real quick and maybe post it there, but no, your messages aren't coming through. Any other questions before I hop off of here? I got to go help with language arts homework. Any questions? Like I said, though, you will see more of these where I'm going to pretty much go over the same information. And this is just really for newbies, information that I feel like you really need to know before we go and invest in doing sublimation. The only thing that I don't see inboxes here, love, like sometimes I don't get the notification on it. So if I don't, respond right away, try to maybe send it to me on Facebook, or you can email me so I can see that. Are you seeing it now? So I can see that. So you can send it to me. If it's something that requires, like if it's like a general question, I end up asking that you ask it on a live or post it in the group. I don't really do like one-on-one helps in the inboxes because that tends to take up a lot of time sometimes. So if you post it, or you can post it in my Facebook group, since you said Facebook, and I can try and help you there and then put it on the next live. Did you say you will be back? No, I won't be back tonight. No, but we will be. You'll see me doing more of the Sublimation 101 type videos. The next one that I'm going to do is just like going over different substrates that you can kind of press to and how it will benefit you in your business. Use, like I said, photo panels. If you're someone that does pop-up shops, maybe you want to press to photo panels or like little plaques and things like that. So there's a lot of substrates that can help you in business, and we'll talk about some of those things. And then we're going to go back to then we will go back to just Sublimation 101. I don't need help. I want to invest in one of your classes. Okay, well, which class is it? Oh, speaking of which, right now, like I said, if you're just joining the Sublimation seminar, it was a 6-day seminar. We went over everything. Like, it's this on overload. It's 6 days. What type of heat press, the pros and cons of these heat presses, troubleshooting, understanding this type of line means this type of line means that. How do you fix this? Design programs, making templates, pressing substrates, understanding your substrates, all that is in the 6-day seminar. If you go onto this site right now, up until 45 minutes or so after the live video, you can get just the Sublimation seminar for 50% off. If you purchase 8.5 and that one, you don't need a code for it. It's automatic. You get the Sublimation seminar, it'll be 50% off. However, if you get 8.5 by 14 sublimation paper or 11 by 17 sublimation paper, also add the Sublimation seminar to your cart and use the code SUBLIFE. If someone can write that in the comment for me, code SUBLIFE. You will buy the paper, you will get the Sublimation seminar 75% off. 75% off. Yes, Honestly Speaking is the name on YouTube, or Silaholics Anonymous. I think I'm on Silaholics Anonymous as well. Let me go over here real quick just so that you guys can see. All right, so that was the other. I'm going to take that one out. Oh, present, share screen, entire screen. Okay, so if I come over here, I go search, and I'm just going to go seminar. Okay, so our sublimation seminar 73, we go and we click on that. We're going to add that to the cart. So that would come out to $36.82. It's 50% off. Now, if you go in and go to the fast dry paper, and we're going to put 8.5 by 14, add it to the cart, go to the cart, and then once you go to checkout, you put the code SUBLIFE. Okay, it's still going, still going. Just to get it 50% off, no code is needed. But if you, okay, there we go. Ooh, look, it was one on there, and I gotta take that off. I didn't realize that promo was still on there. But that would be what, 29, but we're gonna go to checkout. I didn't even realize that one was on there still. See? Sometimes y'all go to the site, y'all get stuff. Sometimes I'll forget about a code real quick. What that thing said? July who? All right, so we're going to go over here and put in sub life. And now that class becomes $18.42. So you have to put the code in, and you can buy 8.5 by 14 or 11 by 17 paper. You put in the code sub life, and that seminar now is only $18.42. But that's only for a good 45 minutes after this live video. So sub, oh, you guys can barely see it, but you put the 8.5 by 14 or 11 by 17, depending on which size printer you have. You put in the code sub life, and you're going to get the seminar for $18.42. Okay. Our 8.5 by 11 is 2030. 8.5 by 14 is 2365. But you don't get that deal with the 8.5 by 11 paper. You must purchase 8.5 by 14 or 11 by 17 paper and put the seminar in your cart. Use the code SUBLIFE, and that class will be 75% off. Or if you just want the class, you can if you just want the class, you can do just the class. It is 50% off until the end of the live. O'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So do you keep your air vent hole open always? Yes, that's what I said in the beginning. You cannot put anything in your vent hole when it's in your printer. It must remain open in order to have airflow. This is the number one cause of a lot of people's ink not flowing. Like, I just set it up, it's not working. It's usually, the culprit is usually they did not prime their cartridges, if it's the kind that needs to be primed, or they have the vent hole plug. It requires air circulation. Ah, you had your vent plug in there. Yep. Were you having issues with your prints and with your, which printer do you have? Which printer do you have? The 7710? Yes. So where's that cartridge? If you have this style, you have to prime it. We have a video about priming. If you don't have this style, I recommend that you get this style. We sell it on our website. It makes the ink last so much longer. But there needs to be ink in this part right here. And when you put it in your printer, there should be nothing in your vent hole. Well, hey girl, what are you doing today? We are talking about Sublimation 101, but I'm actually wrapping up. I have the Epson F170. Can I still use your sub paper and still keep my warranty? Yes, you can use any paper. What affects your warranty is, sometimes the ink. And then when it comes to that particular printer, because it is a sublimation printer, the colors, let me show you, right? I don't recommend that you use a third-party ink because it's a sub printer. We use third-party inks only when we're using a printer that's not intended to be used for sublimation. This is Epson's. This is the ink bottle that came with your printer. This is sublimation ink. So even if you were to kind of use a different one, they really wouldn't be able to tell. But when you are using an EcoTank printer that uses this kind of ink, and it should be dark in your printer, and they ask you for a picture and it looks like this, it will void your warranty. But they will not know if you put Honestly Speaking in an F170 or an F570. However, I don't recommend that you do it. I do recommend that you use their ink. If you really, really need it because they're sold out, you can't find it anywhere, yes, you can always use our ink. The nozzle will work. It's a universal nozzle. But there isn't a big, it's a slight difference. But if you really need it in a pinch, you can use our ink. But I recommend that you use Epson's ink. Yes, I recommend that you use Epson ink. But as far as paper, no paper is going to avoid it. Epson's paper actually sucks. Like, it really sucks. I'm not gonna lie. It's not that great. And I'm not being biased. I've used a lot of papers. I've experienced some papers that are really great ones. Epson's is not it. It's not it at all. See, he said, yes, it does. Try it out. All right. All right. No other questions. Oh, wait. Okay. No, it was just someone. Hello. Welcome in. We're wrapping up. So there are no other questions. I thank you guys for your time. I will be back, not tonight, but we're going to see more of just kind of, it's going to be pretty much the same information. I'll tell you when it's different. Like if we're going over like the different substrates, we did that one day where I pressed like 12 different items. Don't know when the next time I'll do that, but I'll probably show examples of them. Like if you guys were on that one, that one was amazing where we press, like this is a MDF wood keychain, things like this. The wood itself, when you're heating it, it will have a slight odor to this because it's like burning wood. I did this one on live on TikTok yesterday actually. So you can do mouse pads and things of that nature. Worked with a, have you worked with a chip resetter? Yes. So chip resetters only, we sell them. We are sold out right now. We should have some coming in. Chip resetters only work with cartridges that have resettable chips, and they're called auto reset chips. If the chip is sold to you and it says that it is a single use chip, you cannot use a chip resetter. There is no chip resetter for the 7820, 7840, 7310, C7000. There is no chip resetter. You must change out the chip clip. You got to buy new chips, change it out. So the new workforce printers can get kind of pricey, which is why so many people gravitate to Epson EcoTank printers. I don't really recommend Epson EcoTank printers unless it's a 16600 or 16650 because of the ink and the color accuracy. But if you have the long cartridges, they're normally single use and there is no chip resetter for it. So someone wrote on my thing, oh, there's a chip. No, there's a chip resetter for the waste tank. The ink waste tank has a chip resetter. The cartridges does not, but we sell the chip resetters if you have the old school workforces. I have to make my images more vibrant to get better quality. Russ, you've been on for a while. You've been kind of shacking up with us. Appreciate it. You've been on. I have shown time and time again, not sure what's keeping you from pulling the trigger to try out our paper. We have a sample pack. So if you don't want to get the full 100 sheets, get that sample pack. You're going to notice a difference. If you just try, like you're trying to figure out settings, you're trying to figure out different things, trying to get it from Amazon, I don't know what to tell you. With us, we ship out pretty much same day or next day. If you order before 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it gets shipped out the exact same day. If not, it goes out the next day unless it's on a Friday. If you order after 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Friday, it goes out on Monday. You can get the sample pack. It's 20 sheets if you want to try it out. But I'm telling you, you're going to notice a humongous difference. You can lower your settings. That way your ink kind of lasts a little bit longer and you're going to get results like this. Our paper produces beautiful colors. On a converted printer, I'm using one of the lowest settings. Plain paper, my blacks are blackened, the colors are nice and vibrant. So you've been on for a while. You can see my consistency in providing information. You've been consistent with coming over here, getting the information. So now I think it's time for you to go ahead, pull the trigger. Our 8.5 by 11 is $20.30. Or like I said, you can try out the sample pack. I think it's like $7, or actually that might even be on sale right now. I think you actually save like $3 or something like that, even on the sample pack of paper. But all you can do is try it out and see. If you're going to Amazon and you're still buying paper, that's $20. If you're buying the Epson paper, that's still paper that you have to buy. So why not try? I'm on here. ASUB is not on here. Hippo's not on live videos. They're not showing. They're not reviewing their own products. You've never seen ASUB do a live video and show it. You're always just going off of what other people say about it. Oh yeah, I like it, but you can never ask ASUB a question. You can't ask Hippo a question. You can't ask Printer Jack. They're not doing videos. I mean, you're not seeing the owners of Text Print showing it. They're relying on other people. Us, our company, we stand behind our product 1,000%. To where I'm always on here. I'm showing you the results in real time. It's live video. It's not filtered. It's not edited. So go. Try the paper. Try the paper. I will try the paper and tape it. What is Ariel? She's like, I'm gonna see for myself. So yes, go see for yourself. All right, y'all. Okay, perfect. You headed there now after the live. All right, y'all. Let me get out of here so I can go help with homework. Until next time, guys, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity and be incredible. Peace.